Alright, welcome back to the Beanbag. Today I want to talk about the Borg. Now, they only came out with a handful of Borg figures over the years during the Playmates line. I do have a couple of customs here that I'm going to show you, but it's primarily the main set of Borg figures. First, in the Wave 1, they came out with this generic Borg figure. He did come with a couple of interchangeable arms, which can fairly easily be popped out and put back in somewhat easily. There we go. One trick, if you're ever actually dealing with something like that, get a mug, like a coffee mug, put some water in it, throw it in the microwave for about 2 to 3 minutes to get the water essentially close to boiling, and put the part down, and then when it comes out of the microwave, drop the part that you're trying to get to go in to soften up into the water for about a minute to where it gets softened, and then it'll be able to plug into that hole real easily. That way you don't always have to force it the way that I just did. But this was that first wave Borg that came out. It was based essentially on a sort of a generic Borg look from the early, second, third season of The Next Generation. It wasn't anything in particular. It was just very generic. I am Borg. Then later on, they did finally come out with Captain Picard from Best of Both Worlds as Locutus. Again, he did come with some interchangeable arms and parts and stuff like that. That way, if you wanted, you could reenact the scene where Data pulls his arm off and kind of makes it all creepy-like. This is actually a really, really awesome sculpt. The details on it are really fantastic. I don't know if I can get the camera to really pick up how good some of the details on this are. And even the little mechanical arm, there's some really great stuff going on here. They did reissue this a couple of times in a couple of variants. This is the only version of that I've got. Now, in a couple of episodes of The Next Generation, of course, he did come back for the series Star Trek Picard. We had met a character who became named Hugh. This is from his, I believe it was 6th season appearance, where he was working with the Borg to try and help them become free from the control of the hive mind, blah, blah, blah. Again, this is a really terrific sculpt. It's hard to get the holographic eye to convey into a figure of this size, but it's really cool that they got that to go on there to look like that. Again, fantastic. These were some really great figures, and Jonathan Del Arco is a great actor. Ticked me off. Spoiler: if you've not seen Season 1 of Star Trek Picard, but it ticks me off that they killed him in the first season. So then they did the Wave 1 Borg. Also got reissued a couple of times. One of them is what I call the shiny. It's because he came with these parts that have the metallic plating on them. If I can, yeah, there you can see the light really glinting off of them. They repainted that eye to where it's got the red paint. Did some more silver accents and stuff like that. It really is just the same exact figure, though, with a few minor changes. It's interesting that they actually took in the cables. Let me grab the other one. If you look on the original one, the cable was made to look like just a regular tube, and they added this more detailed kind of looking one here, and then they did the same thing for the one down here. It was just a plain tube, and they added this more bumpy textured one on the new one. But yeah, it's just a few minor paint differences, more of a gray instead of the blue like the Wave 1 one was. And then this is actually one that I took and custom repainted. I added some bronze and gold coloring. This is another one of the arms. I switched it out just to make some variation. Did some different detailing on the face and that kind of thing. So this is really my only custom Borg. It's again just that Wave 1 Borg with some slightly different paint detailing. Now the first full custom, the only really full custom that I've got in these is I took and made Lore as he appeared when he was King of the Borg, High Sorcerer Priest. That episode I love that episode where he's with the Borg and he's controlling them and that kind of thing. It's always kind of amused me because he did come across as sort of that fantasy evil sorcerer who was controlling the village of zombie people. So yeah, this one I'm really proud of how this one came out. Most of the torso of this is actually off of the Locutus figure, which is why he's got those same abs as Locutus, and the shoulder pads are very similar as well. But yeah, now as I mentioned in a previous video, this is one of the sets that I do not have complete. I don't have the 7 of 9 as a Borg because that one has always been sort of difficult to get a hold of. But of course, one of the hardest figures to get a hold of is the Borg Queen. I hope to eventually one day get it, but it's probably not going to happen anytime real soon. But that's it for this video. Thank you very much, and hope to see you next time.